Michael Murphy is truly the hero of our generation. His valor and heroism will not go unnoticed.
He sacrificed his life to save the other members of his unit in the Kunar province of Afghanistan.
He made a phone call to his commanding officer, Eric Christensen, to alert him and the rest of his base about their situation. He made this phone call knowing that it would be his last, but it served its purpose, to save his fellow SEAL and best friend, Marcus Luttrell. Luttrell would later go on to tell his story of Murphy, Axelson, and Dietz, and their heroism will now be able to live on for forever.
Murphy's choice to make the ultimate sacrifice bookended a lifetime of decisions to stand up for what is right and, more specifically, taking a stand against terrorism.
Murph was born to Daniel and Maureen Murphy in 1976. He grew up in Patchogue, New York, where he was an athlete throughout middle school and high school.
Murphy attended college in Penn State and played for their ice hockey team. While there, he graduated with degrees in both political science and psychology and graduated with honors. He spent his summers lifeguarding at Lake Ronkonkoma. He became known around the area for this, and a major part of his legacy still has strong ties to Lake Ronkonkoma.
He had been granted acceptance into multiple law schools. However, Murphy had a change of heart and felt he needed to serve his country and become a Navy SEAL. He graduated BUD/S training in January 2001 and was deployed later in October 2002.
As the attacks on the Twin Towers passed, Murphy knew for sure that he wanted to make an everlasting impact on the world. Good men needed to stand up against radical Islamic terrorism, and Michael Murphy was one of these men.
Murph progressed through the ranks of the Navy SEALs until he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant in 2005. That is also the year of one of the most infamous missions in Navy SEAL history, Operation Red Wings.
Murphy and his unit, Matthew Axelson, Daniel Dietz, and Marcus Luttrell, were deployed to the Kunar province in Afghanistan. The mission was to locate Ahmad Shah and disrupt local militia activity.
Their mission went according to plan until goat herders stumbled upon their position, turning their world upside down.
In a later interview with the lone survivor of the mission, Marcus Luttrell, he said that the location that the SEALs were in was completely hidden and that these goat herders couldn't have accidentally found them.
One man first, and then after him, about 5-10 minutes later, another adult male and his son.
You all detained these goat herders for a little while, then released them, and you believe they tipped off the Taliban of your presence?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The place we were at was so desolate. It was the end of the cliff. I mean, there wasn't anything else out there. It was drop off on three sides, and there was only one way in and one way out. And after we turned them loose, I mean, they hightailed it out of there, back up the mountain, then out of our sight. We relocated, and then about an hour later, that militia showed up, and they were looking for us. I mean, their posture that they were carrying throughout the whole, when I first rolled around and looked at them, was an aggressive posture.
The four SEALs battled the hundreds of insurgents, killing many of them. During the fight, Luttrell, Dietz, Axelson, and Murphy all sustained significant wounds.
The first member of the group of SEALs to fall was Danny Dietz. Dietz was shot several times all over his body, including his head, and died atop of one of the many cliffs around them. Dietz fought till the very end, protecting his brothers.
Knowing their death was imminent, and with the death of Dietz, Murphy decided to make the ultimate sacrifice. Refusing to give in to the situation, he decided to make a phone call that he knew would cost him his life, but would later save his brothers.
Lieutenant Mike Murphy climbed out onto a large, open rock overlooking the surrounding region. In this location and this location alone, Murphy had the satellite service to make a distress call that would send a rescue team to their location.
Just start walking, I'll cover you. And I turned around to give some cover fire, and up on top, about, 70, 80 yards above us, Mikey was out on this boulder, out in the middle of the fatal funnel. No cover, no nothing on our satellite phone. Forgot he had that. It took 2 rounds through the chest. It spun him like a top, dropped him on his face. And this bothered me so bad. I mean, Danny was dead, and Axe was dying, and Mikey had just been hit. I thought he was dead. I slung my weapon, tried to crawl up to him, couldn't make it. He sat up with his rifle, finished the phone call off, took a round straight in the spine, dropped him on his face. Well, he sat up again. I was waving my hands. Wasn't firing my weapon. I was just waving my hands. All I wanted him to do was come down to me. I was like, just get down here to me. I'll carry you out of here, man. I'll get us out of here. And he went left. I lost sight of him, went behind this rock embankment. Heard his weapon go off, a lot of gunfire in there. Then he started screaming for help. He's like, I need help up here, man. I need help. And then he started screaming my name. He's like, Marcus, you got to help me. You got to help me. He started screaming my name. I never heard anything like that, ever. Man, woman, or beast. I turned around, was sitting on my boots trying to reload my weapon. He started screaming my name, so it was so terrible, I actually put my weapon down on my knees and covered my ears because I couldn't stand to hear him die. You know, they say every man has his breaking point. I never thought I'd find mine, but I broke right then and there. Which makes me a coward, too, because I put my weapon down in a gunfight. That's a cowardice act. I don't know, I just couldn't take it. I broke. Couldn't take it anymore. And they killed him. I never saw him again.
This video clip shows the Taliban going through the Navy SEALs' weapons and equipment shortly after Operation Red Wings.
This act of valor and gallantry did not go unnoticed. He later received the Medal of Honor from President George W. Bush for his actions on the battlefield. This is the highest honor any service member can receive.
Good afternoon and welcome to the White House. The Medal of Honor is the highest military decoration that a president can bestow. It recognizes gallantry that goes above and beyond the call of duty in the face of an enemy attack. The tradition of awarding this honor began during the Civil War, and many of those who have received the medal have given their lives in the action that earned it. Today we add Lieutenant Michael Murphy's name to the list of recipients who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Deep in the mountains of Afghanistan, this brave officer gave his life in defense of his fellow Navy SEALs. 2 years later, the story of his sacrifice humbles and inspires all who hear it. And by presenting Michael Murphy's family with the Medal of Honor that he earned, a grateful nation remembers the courage of this proud Navy SEAL.
Back in Afghanistan, Luttrell and Axelson were still fighting for their lives. Inspired by Murphy's act of heroism, Axelson took his last stand against these terrorists for his country and friend, Marcus Luttrell.
Marcus Luttrell went on to live and eventually be rescued by American soldiers. By living, he was able to tell the story of Murphy, Axelson, and Dietz. This mission ended up taking many more lives, including Commander Christensen's. Operation Red Wings is still the most deadly mission in the history of the Navy SEALs.
Michael Murphy's impact did not end there on that mountain. Many things were created in his memory, including a memorial park, post office, a high school campus, a combat training pool, and a U.S. destroyer, the USS Michael Murphy.
Many people are inspired every day by Murphy's actions. People continue to take a stand against terrorism just like him.
Things ranging from simple workout routines named in honor of Murphy to young men joining the SEAL teams are living proof of the success Murphy has had on the world.
He was truly successful in taking a stand against terrorism and will forever be remembered for what he has done.